Hi everyone, thank you for joining me today. My name is Asa. I'm here from at The Art of Pure Cooking, and I'm going to be showing you guys how to make a vegetarian summer vegetable chili. Feel free to ask any questions along the way. I'm going to try and do this a little quickly. We're going to try and keep it under 40 minutes if possible, but there are quite a few components to this particular chili, and the actual toppings we're going to be using as well. I have prepared some of the stuff, as you can see, so hopefully this is going to be quite simple for you guys to follow. This is a very flexible recipe, as most of my recipes are quite flexible. I do prefer, you guys use whatever you want to, adjust the taste and the spices as per your taste. Use what you've got around the house, that's the most important thing. So this is a very flexible recipe. I think it's just the technique you guys will be learning from me today, and then hopefully you can create your own variations. This is my twist on a bit of a traditional Mexican bean chili and some Mexican cornbread. So I mean, absolutely adore traditional recipes, but this is just my take on everything, on a quick, fresh summer kind of recipe. So the first thing we're going to do, we've got some vegetables here. We're going to put them into our oven. I have a chopped sweet potato, I have some aubergines, and I have some zucchini. What we want to do is, you want to make sure they're cut consistently. You want to make sure the shapes are, consistent throughout, because then they're going to cook at the same time, and they're all going to be cooked evenly. So to start off, I'm going to just add a little bit of salt, some cumin. My chili is very cumin heavy, so I like to kind of use similar spices that I'm using in my chili. I like to also put them on my veggies as well, just so it's all consistent in terms of flavor. I've added some powdered garlic, and I'm adding some marjoram, some dried parsley, and I've also added some oregano. What we're going to do now is just do a little drizzle of some extra virgin olive oil, and we're going to put this into the oven for about 20 minutes just to get some color. Color equals flavor, as with all ingredients. So with vegetables as well, you want to make sure you get that color. That's going to equal a lot of flavor. So that's going to go into my preheated oven for about 20 minutes. We'll check on it after 20 minutes. 180, and my oven has been preheated. So the next thing we're going to do is prepare our cornbread muffins. It's a really simple recipe. Everything here is vegan. I'm actually not using any dairy. So I know we're celebrating National Vegetarian Week, but this is actually all plant-based over here. So the cornbreads that we're making, I'm making cornbread muffins, and it's a very simple recipe. You can throw everything into the pot, and again, it's a really varied recipe, which is that's different, because when you're baking, you have to be really particular in terms of the exact amounts you're using, because baking is like a science. Cooking, you can have fun with it and you can chuck in whatever you want. Baking, you want to make sure you've got all your components, but then we're going to have a little bit of fun in terms of the fillings we're adding. So I'm throwing in 1 1/4 cups of whole wheat flour. You can use you can use all-purpose flour. I'm having a really hard time finding all-purpose flour at the moment, so I'm using some whole wheat flour. I've got a cup of yellow cornmeal, a cup of cornmeal. We've got a tablespoon of salt, a teaspoon of salt, and a tablespoon of baking powder. You're going to just throw that in. 1/3 of a cup of sugar. And what you want to do is just give your dry ingredients a very good mix. Make sure everything's really well combined. Obviously, we've got a lot of baking powder in there, so we don't want there to be any inconsistencies when we're baking. We want to make sure we have a nice even rise. So I'm going to just take a little extra time making sure everything's whisked in very nicely. It's all evenly combined. That's about right. So what I'm going to do now is combine my wet ingredients. I'm using unsweetened coconut milk. Feel free to use any milk at this stage. I do prefer unsweetened because we have got some sugar in there. By the way, you can up the sugar to 2/3 of a cup if you prefer sweet cornbread. I personally prefer it to be a little savory, so that's why I've only added 1/3, but you can go up to 2/3 with this particular recipe. I'm going to be putting in 1/3 of a cup of oil into 1 1/4 cups of unsweetened coconut milk, and I'm just going to pour that right into the center. This recipe is really easy because it's just, you can chuck everything together in one bowl and just kind of move on from there, really. So we're just going to give this a proper whisk now. make sure everything's relatively well combined. Keep an eye on the actual consistency. This is looking a little thick to me, so I might add a little bit more milk if I think it's necessary, which I think it might be, but let me just add my addition. So I'm adding some jalapenos. I'm doing fresh and I've got pickled jalapenos. I like adding pickled jalapenos because I think they add a more consistent flavor. So I've got about 2 tablespoons of pickled jalapenos, which I've just blitzed up in a food processor. I have about 2 tablespoons of sweet corn as well, just to really emphasize that corn fresh flavor. It's just going to go really well with that fresh summer vegetable chili. I'm going to need a little bit more coconut milk. Abla, would you mind grabbing me some from the fridge? Thank you. So as you can see here, it's a little thick, and that can sometimes happen, you know, with temperature and with the type of flour you're using. Sometimes it's just dehydrated a little extra, so you need to add a little bit more liquid to just get it hydrated again. So I'm just going to eyeball it. I put in about 2 tablespoons. I'm just going to mix it up. You can add spices as well if you want. I personally like a nice plain kind of spicy cornbread. We're doing jalapeno cornbreads, and that definitely speaks for itself with the amount of pickled jalapenos we've added. I'm going to top some with some fresh jalapenos as well. I think it's really sweet to add other vegetables. You don't have to just add jalapenos.
We have a question.
Yes.
Pao Ferrero is asking if they're not vegan, can they just use regular milk?
Yeah, sure, you can. You can do. If anything, that's just going to make your cornbreads a lot richer and maybe a little denser if you're using like a full fat milk. But sure, why not? There's no problems. You can use normal milk. That's not a problem at all. So what I'm going to do now, this is my cornbread muffin mixture here. So this is kind of thick, but it's not. It's like it looks like a cupcake mixture to me. So I have a really nice ice cream scoop. It just makes it really easy for me to put out consistent dollops. So my cornbreads are going to be baking consistently and equally. Another really sweet idea is to use other vegetables, especially for little kids. You can make veggie sprinkles by blitzing up some beetroot, some carrots, zucchini maybe, you know, really colourful veggies. Colour equals, you know, good stuff, good vitamins and antioxidants, is everything good for you. So you can definitely make some vegetable sprinkles, throw them in, and you know, just have fun with it. This is a really good basic recipe which you can just have fun with. Add whatever you want. You can even add, you know, like plant-based meats if you wanted to. You can add like a like vegan soy mince or things like that if you want to. You can add cheese if you want to, if that tickles your fancy, whatever you want. Almost there. As you can see, hopefully you guys will also get a perfect dozen. And they're not going to take too long to bake. I'm using muffin cases, so mine are going to go into the oven for about 15 to 20 minutes. I'm going to check on them in 15 minutes. Probably about 20 minutes, to be honest, they'll take. If you use fairy cupcake cases, they'll take about 10 to 15 minutes because obviously it's a smaller quantity. You can even bake a loaf. I'm just being a little different, and I'm making muffins because I felt like it. Almost forgot the jalapenos. So I'm just going to top my cornbreads with tiny thin slices of jalapenos. It's aesthetical, but then, you know, it's also adding that extra freshness, that kind of punch of flavor, isn't it, when you bite into it. Okay, they're going to go into the oven now, probably about 15 minutes. We'll check on them in 15 and then we'll see. Okay, right, we're going to get started on the chili now. Really simple. This is my take on a chili. I love a good bean chili, so I am adding some beans, but I'm really going to concentrate on the veggies at this stage. What we're going to do is up the ratio of vegetables to beans, just celebrating all those beautiful, lovely summer vegetables that are so going to ripen fresh around us right now. So it's really just a celebration about all those lovely veggies. You can use anything. I'm using celery, onions and some carrots as the base of my chili. You can just use carrots and onions. You can just use leeks if you want to. You don't have to. I luckily had all three things in my fridge, so that's what's happened. That's why I've got prepared all three. So a little drizzle of olive oil's going in. I'll say about a tablespoon, because we've got a lot of cooking to do with these veggies. And I think because we're not going to be cooking them for a very long time, we're not cooking the chili for hours and hours, that helps keep it fresh. So I know when you think about chili, you kind of think about maybe, you know, bonfire night, Guy Fawkes, and you think about, you know, cold winter nights and just kind of sitting in your sofa, you know, all cuddled up under a little duvet with a nice big bowl of chili. But I really wanted to do like a summer variation, something that you can have maybe, you know, really really comfortably at your barbecue or something like that. A nice lunch, or, you know, a great dinner as well, to be honest. So we're not really looking for any colour here, just we want it to be quite translucent, so maybe let's say about 5 to 10 minutes, just on a low heat. I'm going to keep a little eye on it. Whilst this is sweating away, I'll talk about my toppings because I've got a little time right now. I have already prepared my salsa, my cactus salsa. Cactus, it's a new ingredient to me. It's a superfood, and I think it definitely needs to be used more. Definitely, I'm from an Indian household, so, you know, that's my background, and I would like to say I specialize in Indian cooking. You know, having said that, there are so many similarities between Indian and Mexican cuisines. The way we kind of develop and layer up our flavors and the spices we use, they go hand in hand. And, you know, we're all about the spice as well, all about the chilies, so it's very similar. And there's just so many similarities between both cuisines. I think a lot of vegetarian people and a lot of plant-based people who consume plant-based diets, they definitely like both cuisines, because so many of our kind of traditional recipes, they just lend themselves to becoming vegetarian, they lend themselves to becoming vegan with only 1 or 2 substitutions. So it's really easy to immerse ourselves in these kind of cuisines and recipes. So I'm just keeping an eye on it because I don't want anything to catch. I've already made my salsa, I was saying. So I've used cactus, I've used a tin of tomatoes because I didn't have any fresh. I've used 1 red onion. I've used the juice that comes in the jalapeno, the pickled jalapenos. I really like using it because it's not too spicy. It has oodles of flavor. So, you know, it's something, the brine that this actually comes in, it just holds, it's an ingredient in itself. So I love using it as a liquid replacer. So I've added a little bit of that. I've added some jalapenos and some fresh lime juice and a little cilantro as well. So it's very fresh, very uplifting. So that's our cactus salsa. Just keep an eye on this. Talking about the veggies we've got, so we've got aubergines, sweet potatoes, and we've got zucchini in the oven, roasting away. My tomatoes are here. A really nice thing to do is you can roast your tomatoes if you feel fancy. You can roast them on the stove and take the skins off, and that's going to add another dimension of flavor. I'm simply using a tin of tomatoes here. You can even smoke your vegetables. You know, if you don't have a wood-fired oven, you can get some wood chips, pop them into your oven as it's preheating. When you put those veggies in, they're just gonna, you know, grab that flavor, and it's just going to kind of, it becomes very reminiscent of barbecues, doesn't it? When you taste something that's quite smoky. So you can definitely do that to your vegetables as well. I think I'm ready to put in my garlic now. I'm not gonna tell you how much garlic. I think you guys just, you put in how much ever garlic you want. I'm gonna do 2 cloves to begin with. Give it a stir. Again, because, you know, I'm trying to make this under an hour, so it's just going to be quite fresh, quite quick. The veggies I have in here, it's just what I have around the house. I have some red pepper, I have some sweet corn, and I have some spring greens as well, actually. I've already put my carrots and celery in, so I think that's a really good amount of veggies. That's a lot of different colors, a lot of different flavors, and a lot of different textures, which is the most important thing. When you're cooking vegetarian food, vegan food, you want to make sure you've got a number of colors, a number of textures. So, you know, someone who does eat meat, or someone who's trying to transition, or someone who's trying to, you know, just have more vegetables, or you know, have more vegetarian food or more vegan food, you know, they'll be searching under all these little textures and flavors and colors, and they won't miss the meat. That's how it happens. We don't need to worry about protein because we've got beans going in here. Not very many, but you'll be surprised how much, you know, how much protein vegetables actually have within themselves. I think I'm ready to go with my tomatoes now. 1 tin of tomatoes, and I've got about 2 tablespoons of tomato puree. Let's give it a stir. This goes great with a lot of stuff. You can have it with, you know, with bread. You can have it with any carbs of your choosing, any types of rice, quinoa, couscous. You can have it with a sweet potato. You can have it with tortillas. You can have it with, you know, you can turn it into a taco. You can put it in a quesadilla. There's so many ways you can have this. Okay. That's looking good. I'm going to go in with my spices. My spices are pretty simple. We've got them here. I'm going in with salt, smoked paprika. That's where my smokiness is coming in from. I'm going in with a combination of my, this is something I make at home. It's powdered garlic, it's a little marjoram, it's dried parsley, and oregano. And then I have a little bit of cinnamon there, a lot of cumin, as you can see. And I also have some red chili powder as well. So I'm happy to go in with all of that, lots of spices. Vegetables do need, you know, a lot of salt and a lot of spices, just to, they need it to help release that flavor.
Sorry, I've done something.
It's okay. I'll just keep an eye on that. All okay? What's wrong?
Okay. I accidentally swapped the camera around.
Okay. Okay. Right. So the spices are definitely starting to release their goodness, because my kitchen's starting to fill up with all these lovely smells and scents. It smells gorgeous in here already, and I've only been cooking this for about a minute, maybe 2 minutes. The actual spices. I'm not going to add any veggie stock or water because I want to keep this, I want it to be quite thick. I'm serving the chili with the cornbread, and I personally love a thick chili, so I'm not going to add any vegetable stock. If I want to add a bit of water, I might, just to kind of loosen things up a bit if I think we need to. But yeah, that's where we're going. If you guys like a thin, something, you know, something a little with a bit of a gravy, like a gravy chili, then add some veggie stock or water, any type of liquid. If you guys are happy to leave it and kind of walk away for a couple of hours, definitely add your water, add your veggie stock, and just leave it and, you know, let it cook. I want to do like a quick variation, so that's why I'm not going to add any water. My spices are definitely releasing all their lovely flavors. They're releasing, the oils are starting to release, because I can see the oil, my tomato mixture is starting to become very shiny, which means the oils are now being released, and that's ready for the beans. I'm using a packet of refried beans. I'm just using 1 packet, and I actually don't have a favourite. I love chili so much. I love red kidney beans, being Punjabi. I'm Punjabi, so Rajma Chawal all the way. And black beans, obviously, we love. And I love using butter beans, actually, in my chilies. I think butter beans add a lot of, they just add a different depth of flavour. They're very creamy, and they break down very quickly. But they're also a great carrier of flavour. So I definitely do like to add butter beans. I'm not going to be adding any more. I think this is plenty. I want this all to be about the veggies. I'm just going to take my time very slowly, take this out so it doesn't splatter everywhere. In terms of other toppings, you guys, I have prepared a avocado mayo. I didn't make guacamole, I'm sorry. I do love a good avocado mayo. I love the creaminess, and I've added, you know what, I think it's really good in terms of as a butter substitution. When you're making a good avocado toast, and you know you're kind of sick of smashing up the avocado on the toast and you want something a little creamy or something that's prepared in your fridge, it's a really good idea. It's over here if you want to see. It's a really good idea. I put it in a piping bag because I am all about looks. I do love to make my food look pretty. But it's a really good idea to make a jar of it, and you can keep it in your fridge. So, you know, if you've got avocados that are going off, that are going bad, and you don't know what to do with them, which I mean hardly ever happens because, I mean, come on, we all love avocados and they never go off. They never stay in our fridge for that long. But, you know, if you do have some, a really good way is to make a good big jar full of some avocado mayo, which is just avocados, a little salt. I like using pink Himalayan salt. You can add some spices if you want. I love adding, again, the brine that this comes in, jalapeno juice. I love adding a little bit of that. It doesn't add too much spice to it, but it just gives it a little kick and adds a little salt in a good way. And I also like to add a drizzle of olive oil then. So you blitz up your avocado in a food processor, and then slowly what you do is you just drizzle in some oil, preferably something that doesn't have a taste, so like canola oil or maybe veggie oil. If you do like the depth of an extra virgin olive oil or something, then yeah, sure, go ahead and add that. But something that doesn't, you know, have a taste, you can just drizzle that in very slowly, very similar to how you make, you know, regular mayo. You want it to emulsify, and it just transforms as soon as you've added the oil, and you're drizzling it in very slowly, and you know, there's no chances of separation. It's foolproof. You can throw your oil in all at once, or you can drizzle it in really slowly. I do like to just chuck it all in at once. Have faith, it will definitely thicken up, emulsify, and turn into the most gorgeous creamy mayo. It's great with sweet potato fries as well. But it's also really nice to have an avocado toast in the morning. But yeah, you have to be careful because there is oil in it. We wouldn't normally put oil on our avocado toast otherwise. So yeah, I've prepared the avocado mayo drizzle to go over the top. That's just going to add another creamy flavour. This looks really good. I've only been cooking this for about 5 minutes now, I think. And you can see how well that's come together already. I'm happy to throw in my veggies now. I've got some sweet corn, I've got some spring greens, and some red peppers. If you have time, or if you like that flavour, char grill those peppers. You can buy char grill peppers in jars. They're preserved, last a very long time if you're able to get your hands on some in store. Definitely they're worth keeping in the fridge. You can turn them into so many lovely things. The brine they come in is like liquid gold. You can add that to anything and, you know, just amplify the flavors straight away. Do not throw that brine away. I unfortunately don't have any, otherwise a jar would definitely be going in here right now. Slowly we're just going to let them cook. My veggies are going to be a little, they're not going to be completely mushy. I want this to be quite fresh. I want my vegetables to have a bite when you bite into them. So that's why, you know, we're not going to cook them all the way. So this is the stage where you would add a lot of water, and you would let this simmer and bubble away for hours. We are not going to do that. We are going to try and finish off. The other accents I have, so I have some other garnishes. I have some tortilla chips here. I have some corn chips. These are made up of Mexican Mama's very own corn tortillas, which I've just chopped up, and I've oven baked them with a little bit of rapeseed oil and a little bit of salt, just some Himalayan. I love Himalayan salt, so a little bit of Himalayan salt. I've got some red cabbage. I just love the taste of red cabbage with my chili. You can have coleslaw if you want, but I didn't want to add coleslaw because I already have my kind of fattiness coming from the avocado mayo. So I have good fat in there. I don't want to ruin it by adding tons and tons of mayo into my cabbage. So there's that. We're going to top the rest of it with our jalapenos. You know, just make sure you've got lots and lots of garnishes. This is our cactus salsa over here. We've got some chopped up lime over here. I think we're done with the garlic. I have some cilantro that's about to go in. If it sticks, which as you can, if you come closer, you can see my chili is sticking. I'm not going to panic because, you know, where some of the flavor is going to come from. Obviously you don't want it to burn. You just want to stand here and you want to stir it consistently. You want to keep, if something sticks, you want to just kind of scrape it off the bottom and just keep going. Don't worry about it. It's just going to add flavor. You don't want to leave it for long enough where it sticks and it just burns. Okay? I'm not talking about if, you know, it's not turning black. It's just kind of sticking a little, and I'm just going to keep stirring it. It smells incredible, you guys, already. I'm just going to have a little peek at my veggies. We're going to check on the corn muffins in about 2 minutes. They're actually hopefully almost done. And my vegetables, they still need a little time roasting. So maybe another 10-15 minutes. Any questions whilst we're here? Have a little free time? No?
You have 4 minutes left on the muffins, 20 minutes.
Oh, okay. If anyone has any questions, feel free to drop by. I don't mind. My account is the Art of Pure Cooking, and I dabble in plant-based inspiration, vegetarian. I'm vegetarian. You know, I was born into a vegetarian family. We've been vegetarian for generations and generations. I'm Sikh. I'm Punjabi. And my account's all about just promoting plant-based diets. I'm predominantly a plant-based diet, so I like to just promote vegetarianism and veganism in the most positive way possible. Everyone's welcome. There's absolutely no judgment. If you ask me, especially on my page, definitely no judgment. It's looking good. It's getting thicker and thicker. I think I might add a little bit of water just because it's sticking a little bit. And I love to dabble in food art. I think it's really important to concentrate on the way you present your food. There's a saying in Ayurveda actually that, you know, as soon as you look at your plate of food, your digestive juices start flowing. Obviously, the prettier your plate of food is going to look, the more color you have, the more garnishes you have, the more textures, the more flavors. Your digestive juices are just going to flow that much better, and you're going to potentially digest your food that much better. So it's also good for you to concentrate on how you present your food, of course in a meditative way as well. It's good fun, you know, you deserve it. You should present your food as well as you possibly can. I'm going to check on the corn muffins. You want to keep an eye on the chili? Okay, my corn muffins can do with another 5 minutes. I just want a little bit more colour. They're almost cooked through, so I don't want them to be raw at all. And by the way, you can top them with whatever you want. At this stage, I'm going to add my sweetener now. It's important to add a little bit of sweetener to your chili because you want to counteract that acidity that the tomatoes are releasing. So I like to go in with coconut sugar. Feel free to use, and so you can use maple syrup, agave nectar, you can use honey. Honey is very popular. If you're vegan and you don't use honey, coconut nectar is a very good substitute. I think it adds a lot of depth. And I'm also putting in my trick, which is about four little pieces of dark chocolate. I read that on the internet and I've been doing it ever since. Definitely adds just oodles of flavour. Adding dark chocolate to your chili, who would have thought, eh? It just adds so much flavour. And I love using those kind of ingredients where, you know, the less you use, the more, less is more. A little bit of dark chocolate, how it can just transform your dish is incredible. It's going to transform the colour, make it feel more smoky. Oh, you can smell it now. It smells delicious. And it makes your chili look so shiny and so good. So yeah, this is looking really good. And by the way, you know, you can just serve veggies on the side. You can pour your chili over the roasted veg, which is something that I might do. Yeah, you can, you know, just play around with it. You can do whatever you want. But this right here just smells so good right now. I'm gonna get my corn muffins out. Okay. Now out. And they look something like this. We lost a jalapeno, unfortunately, you guys. Unfortunately, we've lost one, but that's okay. We can replace it. It's a catch. I think another 5-10. It's that quick. So as you can see, they're cooked through. When you touch them, they spring back a little. I'm just telling you, you know, if I was baking a normal batch of cupcakes, these are the type of tips I'd be giving. If you press into them, they spring back a little. You can top them with butter. I'm going to top them with my avocado mayo, so I'm going to use that instead of it. But you can use a vegan margarine, you can use butter. Crazy. I like using this because, you know, I told you I do like to use this instead of vegan margarine and butter. I think it adds, you know, more depth, more flavour. So why not? Okay, and some fresh chopped cilantro. I'm just going to chuck that in, and we'll check for salt actually before we get out, because I've salted my roasted veggies have already got salt on them, so you know they're going to carry their own flavour. I want to make sure that the chili it's perfect. It's not too salty. Oh, it's perfect. It's really, really hot and spicy. And you can just kind of taste that freshness, just, you know, because we've added a lot more vegetables. I want to add some lime juice. Let's do that now. So I'm going to add some lime juice, and then if you don't have any limes, I actually luckily managed to find a bag of limes, so that was sheer luck. How is everyone? I hope everyone's doing well. It's tough.
Someone's just asked that they were late. Could they have the recipe, please?
Yeah, sure. I'll send it over to Mexican Mama, and I will also put it up on my account as well. It will be up on my account later on. The entire recipe will be up. Yeah, no problem. Okay, let's get some of these corn muffins out. Don't they look delicious? And you can add other veggies. I'm just trying to make vegetarian food look and feel as simple as possible. You know, it's really not difficult. I'm not going out of my way to put in many substitutions. I know we had the plant-based milk, but other than that, I hope nothing else has seemed foreign to you guys. I hope it just seems like, you know, oh, this is just, you know, stuff that we usually have in our kitchen and we cook with, other than the plant-based milk that I used, which plant-based milks are becoming quite popular within themselves anyway now, aren't they? So many people are coming up with dairy intolerances and things, so they are becoming quite popular. We're going to just move this, and then we're going to start plating. I'm just going to have a drink. That's fine. Okay. Almost there. Let me just check on the veggies. I think they're done. You can cook them for a little longer. I don't want them to become mushy. If you like that kind of chili where everything is just combined, then, you know, definitely cook them for a little longer. Mine have been in the oven for how long now?
20 24.
Half an hour. Yes, that's not too bad. As long as they're cooked through, we're happy. So I only have a spoon here, but you can see they're cooked through because when I'm pushing that, it's perfectly cooked. I have a little bit of colour, so not complaining, I'm happy with that. So I think what I'll do now is work on the presentation. I want to spend a little time talking through the presentation with you guys because I think it's really important. I mean, you don't have to do much work when you're presenting lovely Mexican food, honestly, because it comes with so many additions and so many flavor amplifying garnish. You just have everything ready, so many colors, and you know, you're ready to go, aren't you? You can add some corn flour if you want to make this thicker. That's a little trick I have, but I'm happy with it because, you know, we didn't add any stock or anything. So what I'm doing with my veggies into my chili, and I'm going to give that a little mix. Look how good that looks. This is definitely good for 4 people, you guys. You know, this is, it's chili. It's a light kind of fresh version, but it's still chili. You know, definitely this is good for 4 people or 2 very hungry people. Let's just say that. No judgment. Okay. So there you have it. So I do like it when my vegetables are still kind of, they're retaining their shape, but they're perfectly cooked through. That is a cooked veggie for me. If you guys want your veggies to be a little mashed up, I'd cook this for a bit longer, for maybe another 15 minutes. But it's as simple as that. For me, that's done. And we can start plating. So we have a lovely plate. You can use some cornbread muffins. Use any carbs you want. Pair it with some carbs, definitely. This is very, very protein rich, and you have some chips here as well. So I'm going to just put down 1 muffin, and I'm going to pipe a little bit of avocado mayo on top. So if you come a little closer up now, just so we can definitely show and work on the presentation. Look at that. It's a savoury cupcake, but isn't it fun? And you can just top it rather than with a cherry. You can just do a little chili like that. So the second thing we have going on in the plate is our lovely chili. Which we have here. It smells incredible. I really like adding spring greens, by the way. They're in season right now, so if you can get your hands on some, they just add a lovely further kind of texture and dimension to the chili. Oops. So we have our lovely chili, we have our lovely little cupcake. That's very me, by the way. I'm all about cupcakes, as you will probably tell from my account. I love baking and cooking equally. I'm not a chef, by the way. Just a quick PS. I'm not a chef. I just love to cook and bake. I learned everything from my mum and from home, but everything from my mum. It was my mummy who taught me everything. So I have a little salsa going on, my cactus salsa. I'm just going to add a little bit on top. What I'm going to do is I'm also going to add some roasted veggies. I'm going to add some roasted veggies on the side. Just because why not? Okay, I have some tortilla chips here, which I've oven baked, so they're nice and healthy. A little drizzle of olive oil, like a teaspoon. I was really careful with this because there's a lot of oil in the avocado mayo, so I had to really pay attention and be careful. Spend a little time. Okay. And then I have some cabbage here. This is kind of like my cheap coleslaw. It's not a coleslaw, it's just sliced red cabbage. Definitely gives you that coleslaw feel, I'll tell you that. I've added a little bit of salt and a little bit of lime juice. Just look at all that colour. Doesn't that look delicious? Okay, I have a packet of salsa here. I have some salsa verde. I'm just going to open it up. This was supplied to me by Mexican Mama. And I'm just going to use these things. This one's not as spicy, I noticed, so this one's a little bit more acidic, a lot more tart, isn't it? I'm going to drizzle this over my veggies just to give it some contrast and some variation. So just over the vegetables, so you just get that extra pop of flavour from this side here rather than just combining it with the chili, which has already got so many flavours. And don't forget, the spices we used for our roasted veggies, they're the same spices we used in our chili, so they go hand in hand. They all match up. I'm going to add a little bit of lime, some lime chunks, just for anyone who ever wants to drizzle a little lime juice. And then I'm just going to do a little drizzle. And there we have it. That is it. I hope I haven't forgotten anything. No? All good. I think I've used everything I wanted to. If you come close, you can have a look at the plate here. I hope it looks good. It looks good enough to eat for me, to be honest. I absolutely love it. I love, you know, doing food art. So this is just a little fun variation of a sweet cupcake rather than doing a normal cupcake. You've got a lovely little Mexican cornbread cupcake with some avocado mayo on top instead of frosting. And then we have our summer veggie chili. We've got our lovely roasted veggies with the salsa verde on top. We've got our cactus superfood salsa, oven baked corn chips over here, some limes. I have some shredded cabbage, which is my fun healthy take on coleslaw, and that is it, you guys. It's literally that simple. I think we're done well within time, and you know, it was so easy to put together, and just it goes to show when you're prepared and you've got everything ready, cooking's really not that difficult. So definitely, I hope I've encouraged you guys to go into the kitchen and cook, and you know, spend some time, do some baking, do some cooking. It can do a lot for your mind, body and soul. It's a very meditative process, so definitely spend more time in the kitchen with your family, with your loved ones. I hope everyone stays safe. I hope everyone's well. I hope everyone's healthy. And thank you so much to Mexican Mama for reaching out and for wanting to collaborate to help and ask me to help celebrate National Vegetarian Week. That was amazing. It was an absolute privilege to be working with such a fantastic company. Thank you for all the items you've sent out to me. And most of the things you can see here, you know, they've been sent from Mexican Mama, and you can place an order. And you can definitely place an order through Mexican Mama and purchase your very own items. I can tell you they're all of a very high quality, and they're just a fantastic company. So thank you so much for having me. Thank you for the opportunity, and thank you guys for watching and making it this far. I hope you guys are taking something away from this. Have an amazing Sunday, and hopefully I'll see you guys very soon. Bye.